Hi guys, we're going to be talking about environmental indicators and sustainability today. After this page, we're going to move on and talk briefly about our ecological footprint as well. So this is an introduction into basically how all of this is going to tie into the course this year. So the first thing we want to discuss is what are environmental indicators and what is sustainability. Sustainability, you've probably heard that term before. So we're going to write down what sustainability is. Okay? It all boils down to the choices that we make in our day-to-day lives. Are we impacting the environment? Are we helping the environment? And we can actually calculate that with our ecological footprint. So sustainability is the use and management that allows natural replacement and recovery. Okay, so what does that basically mean? Well, the environment does a pretty good job at recovering from ecological disasters such as hurricanes and tornadoes and floods. But when it comes to impact caused by humans, it can be more damaging and more permanent. Being sustainable is making choices that are going to allow the environment to recover on its own and allow those resources to be very easily replaced once they are used. So the rule of thumb is we should not be using all of our resources before we can replace them. All right. Now, when we move over to environmental indicators, okay, we want to be able to have a way to measure the stress on the environment. By measuring that, we can provide assistance to try to help it get back on its feet, in other words, okay? So environmental indicators allow us to quantitatively, and that is not how y'all spell it, guys. Oh my gosh. Let's back up, and I'm going to write that again. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Okay, this eraser is kind of fun. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to the pen. Okay, it allows us to, I'm going to put it down here, there we go. It allows us to quantitatively measure stress on the environment. Okay, now quantitative, hopefully you guys remember from math, is a numerical term. So quantitative means number. Qualitative means another type of descriptor. Okay, now the way that we actually measure this, okay, there's a specific test. So it's measured with what's called the MIA. The MIA, okay? The MIA is the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment. Okay? I don't know why it's called MIA, because Millennium Ecosystem Assessment is not the same letters, but that's just what it's called. Okay? And what this specifically does, all right, what the MIA does is it assesses the impact of humans on the environment. Okay? And we know that progressively it has gotten worse throughout the decades. So it's something that allows us to keep track of environmental health. Okay? Now, when we look at the environmental indicators themselves, there is a hierarchy or different levels of them. The administrative ones right here. Okay, I'm going to change the color of my pen. All right. So the administrative ones, so the level 1 and 2, we really don't have, oh, I didn't change the color. Okay. We really don't have much of an impact on that because this is going to be at the government level. So very few of us are able to impact that. Okay. Now, levels 3, 4, 5, and 6, these are ones that we can directly impact. So if you look at them, we have changes in discharge or emissions. So this is going to be air pollution. Changes in ambient conditions. So ambient means basically homeostasis. We have perfect conditions. If we stray from that, it will no longer be ambient. So that puts stress. Level 5, changes in uptake or assimilation. So this is going to have to do with the health of soil systems. And then changes in human health. We know that pollutants definitely have a negative impact on human health. So all 4 of these things right here, okay, we say they cause stress in the environment. Okay, they cause stress in the environment. Now, the table below this identifies very specific indicators. Okay, you need to be able to discuss 2 of these on the IB test. All right. Let me keep scrolling. Okay. Now, these are very specific ones, and I'm going to get my highlighter tool out. Okay. Now, the first indicator we have is biological diversity. So how many different animals and plants do we have living in an area? We do know that our extinction rates are increasing. Food production, with more humans on the earth, we obviously need more food, so that's going to impact the environment. We have average global surface temperature and carbon dioxide concentration. Okay, now I am going to write over here, this right here is referring to climate change. Okay. And we'll get into more specifics about climate change later on, but that's what that's referring to. And then we have human population. We know that the human population is increasing exponentially. We currently have over 7 billion people on the planet right now. And then we have resource depletion. So with all these people on the planet, are our resources being depleted too rapidly? Okay, and by resources, we're talking about air, water, oil, anything that is a resource that is produced by the planet for us to use. Okay. Now, on the IB test, as I say, guys, you need to pick 2 of these to remember. Okay, so I'm going to write a note down here to myself. Okay. Pick 2 to remember. It does not matter to me which 2 you pick. If you want to do biological diversity and resource depletion, that is up to you. If you want to do climate change and human population, pick any 2. I suggest pick the 2 that are the easiest for you to remember, and those will be the ones that you discuss on the test. Okay? Now, when we look at environmental impact assessments, okay, we need to have a way to measure the impact on the environment when we are developing certain things. Now, we know that these environmental impact assessments are going to vary from country to country. So the way we look at it in the United States is not the same way it is looked at in Canada. It's not the same way it's looked at in China, in Russia. It's different every place you go. Okay? Now, why these are so important is because they play a role in sustainable development, which is really, really important for Devo. Y'all, I can't spell today. Oh my gosh. Y'all, please forgive me. Whew. Let's try again. Try again, Jennifer. All right. They play a role in sustainable development. So when we are building new structures, we're building a new gas station, we're building a new golf course, or we're building a parking lot, we want to make sure that we're doing it in the most sustainable manner with the least disruption to the environment. Okay? Now, we know just by living in Arlington that this doesn't really happen a great deal here, because we see construction happening all the time, and there's a lot of pollution and runoff that comes from that. But these are supposed to help lessen those types of impacts on the environment. Okay? So basically, what is supposed to happen is there are supposed to be studies before the project begins. We want to know how the construction and the development are going to impact the environment. Okay? We also want to know how to lessen the negative impacts. Okay? So those are environmental impact assessments. Okay. So let's go on to talk about ecological footprint really quickly. And this is something that you're going to be calculating on your own. I want to know what your impact is on the environment just by your everyday choices. Okay? So, an ecological footprint is a measure. It is actually a mathematical number. What this does is it measures how much a person consumes. It measures how much a person consumes expressed in area of land. Okay? Typically what you're going to see are hectares. That's just how we measure the land. All right? So what are the things that are going to directly impact your ecological footprint? This is going to be how much energy you use, where you live, how much wood products you use, toilet paper, paper towels, how much food you eat, the type of clothing you wear, and seafood. And I know some of you are thinking, well, I don't like seafood. Well, on a global scale, seafood is the #1 source of protein in people's diets because many of the most populated cities in the world are coastal regions. So they eat a lot of seafood. So again, this is something that is expressed in area of land. So you're going to calculate that. You're going to kind of digest that information and come up with ways that you can live a more sustainable life.